Skydiving. This is amazing.
Yeah, but you know what else is amazing? An iPhone 6S for just $49 at Metro.
Really?
Imagine streaming all the way down with that amazing camera. I'm switching.
That's smart.
You know what else is smart? Parachutes.
Woo!
Switch to Metro and get an amazing iPhone 6S for only $49. Metro by T-Mobile. Phone offer requires port-in of number not currently active on T-Mobile network or active on Metro in past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Blog Talk Radio.
Uncle Jasonib, 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 Uncle Jasonib. Uncle Jasonib, 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 Uncle Jasonib. Uncle Jasonib, 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 Uncle Jasonib. Uncle Jasonib, 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 Uncle Jasonib. Uncle Jasonib, Uncle Jasonib, Uncle Jasonib, Uncle Jasonib, Uncle Jasonib.
Tatapu, Alafia, Jumbo, peace and love to everyone. We welcome you once again to Ra Sekhi Radio. And this is Moot Kajara. I'm here with my sister, Aura. Peace and love, sis.
Peace and love. How are you today?
Ooh, I am thankful. The snow is melting. The sun came out, so all is well in my world. How you feeling, sis?
I'm doing great. It's an overcast, cloudy day here, but here in Charlotte, North Carolina, snow probably sticks around for 2-3 days at tops, and it's like nothing never landed on. It was good. It was good. So yeah. Yes.
All right. Well, we have a very special guest and a very special and important topic to discuss tonight. But before we get into our discussion, we're going to open up with a prayer as always. So I'm going to turn it over to you, sister.
Adorations to Ma'at. Ma'at, Aku Ma'at. Ma'at Nebutin. Cha Shina Ma'at. Ankh Shina Ma'at. Ha Sima Ma'at. Ma'at Hatin. Dua Ma'at Nebutin. Ma'at is the source of life. Ma'at is everywhere you are. Rise in the morning with Ma'at. Live with Ma'at. Let every limb join with Ma'at. Ma'at is who you are deep down. Adorations to Goddess Ma'at. who is everywhere you are. Dua.
Dua. Oh, I love that one. I appreciate that. So, I know there is so much going on in our community, and we always like to talk about the topics for the week. And what is on your mind this week, sis?
I'm still thinking about that water situation. This is not going away. It's not going to be remedied anytime soon, but it's just, just very annoying just seeing the treason against humanity and nature that has occurred, and still the main perpetrators, who are the decision makers, have not been penalized, have not been punished. I think one of the EPA admins have been, have been released, but it's just amazing how many people still have their jobs, and how many people are walking free when you're pretty much destroying water supply for whole communities and populations. It's just amazing. Mm-hmm. It's just amazing. And then I see our people in our communities getting hit with high bonds for petty crime and being put away and even shot down and killed. It's just amazing. It just continues to. I mean, I know it is nothing different. Historical references will tell me to expect these things, to not be surprised. However, it just amazes the gall. Just amazes me. To me, that just seems to be still more important than the Oscars. I'm not really concerned about the Oscars too much. I do co-sign with we need to have our own stuff. But back to the water, it just really is amazing. And there's still more issues that come around with that. There's huge efforts of people who are really trying to remedy the immediate need for fresh water supply for the residents of Flint, which is very, very commendable. It just really shows the heart of people who really have a desire to do something. But now there's the challenge of, what do you do with all of those water bottles? I mean, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of plastic water bottles that is now an issue. It's just this, life will never be the same for the people of Flint, Michigan. And really, life is not the same. Life changes for all of us at any given moment without any type of notice. But, being in the United States of America, we are accustomed to certain lifestyle habits, and going and fetching water and figuring out what to do with the containers and, things like that is not something.
But needed to go outside of your home for water and to be expected to pay for that said water. And this is 2016. Here we are in one of the most modern countries, supposedly, in the world, and yet, a whole city of people have been poisoned by water. So, the plastic bottles will be an issue, but still, what about all those children who have been drinking that water full of lead for these last 18 months? And what are we going to do for them? My question, what are we going to do for those children? And those politicians and people who run the city, they should be held accountable for that. They should not be left to just continue to go on as if nothing happened when so many people were affected. so prayerfully we can, speak up. I know I saw a petition today online that was speaking to some of those greater issues. So we all have to look out for those things and support them. And I'm I just want to send some love to all the people who are sending water, because I know I've seen people in many cities, Chicago and Detroit, and people from Atlanta and Miami and New York, people from all over who are sending water. So,
South Carolina,
it's a very
North Carolina. Mm-hmm.
Yes. People have their GoFundMes. People are really reaching out, and I'm really thankful to see that, because, that's what it's going to take for us to save ourselves. So, we continue to support those ones who are sending water, and we do support sending charcoal tablets and other water filters and other things that the people up there will need. So
major water filters. We're not talking Brita or Pure. No.
They need the full the full system.
I mean, seriously, and honestly, we need a coalition of healers and people who have supplies, even doctors, those that have the equipment to do the chelation treatments. I mean, they need to be done. I mean, there's a lot of health implications that are going to be long-ranging for this group, and it'll probably be generational. I'm sure it's going to affect more than just one generation. And then on top of that, the educational needs are going to need to be, supplemented because of the damage that are done to the children, because it damages the nervous system, and the nervous system's headquarter is the brain. And, these are things that we must be mindful and prayerful about. And many of these people do not have the resources to pick up and move.
Right.
I mean, and so now we're dealing with, this is Katrina all over again, except, it's not that you have people floating in water and dead in the streets right away. I mean, this is something that is, it's not going to kill you necessarily so fast, but it's still a danger and a threat.
It's a mess. It's a mess.
It is a hot mess.
Like you say, I'm shocked, and we shouldn't be shocked or surprised because so many things have happened through the years, but we continue to encourage everyone to send donations, send water, send what you can. And I see that the lines and chat room, everything is filling up. So we are going to go ahead and get into our topic, because we definitely have some important things to discuss this evening. And we are very honored to have our elder, Father Heru, who is the chief priest of the Shrine of Ptah. And as far as I know, he is the first one to carry the Ankh in this country. He is also the teacher of one of my teachers. So it is always an honor to be in the company of your teachers and elders. And so I am very thankful to bring on our special guest, Father Heru. Peace and love, Hetapu. How are you?
Hetapu, Sister Kajara. It's an honor to be here, sharing with you and listening to what preceded my coming on of what's happening in Ohio with the water situation. More and more the waters on many levels are getting very muddy, and it's in keeping with the cosmic procession. This is we're leaving Pisces and feeling the winds of Aquarius. So at the end of any age, things get pretty messy. Things start to sort of break down in order to build up for the coming one. So that's what we're witnessing, and of course, it doesn't make it any less acceptable, the suffering of people and the callousness with which people make decisions based upon money. I mean, they print the stuff, so I don't understand why the scarcity of it to deny people access to water, switching on to poison in order to save money, but at the expense of lives. This is why it makes a mockery of these people shooting people up in abortion clinics. They don't mind adult abortions, in terms of how people are dealt with as far as their waters are concerned, as far as their foods are concerned, the GMOs and all of that mess. It's making the waters muddy on many levels, and that's why it's very important at this point for us to embrace and really begin to embrace Ma'at on a very pronounced level. I was listening to, a few months ago, radio, and it was talking about how since Brother Freddie Gray was shot in Baltimore, that's caused the uprising. At that time, I think there were 4 other men who were shot by the police, but in the same time period, 44 brothers and sisters had shot each other, like it was a ratio of 11-1. And I began to think of how we are talking about how Black Lives Matter, and I said we have to bring this home to ourselves, because it seems because of how we are dealing with each other that many people feel they have a license to do what they do to us. So that and many of the issues we're faced with today. During the wake for Dr. Ben, I called for the formation of a Ma'at Militia. And, of course, people began to, is he calling for a call to arms? No. I said, militias have traditionally armed themselves with weapons of violence, guns, knives, and swords, and so on. But this Ma'at Militia will have a different purpose. We will arm ourselves with Ma'at ethical codes in order to address contemporary issues which plague our AfraKAmenta communities. Our ancient SMAI TAUWI Nile Valley ancestors left us 42 confessions of Ma'at, which we honor and which will remain intact as written on the ancient papyri. But due to the passing of time and the changing of our lifestyle, we people of African ascent are challenged to supplement our Ma'at ethical codes. Now, in moving ahead and trying to formulate these new ethical codes, I solicited the assistance of many brothers and sisters throughout our community, and soon there will be on the website of the Shrine of Ptah.org a list of all of those who contributed to these new ethical codes, because while I took the impetus to move it forward, I was not the only one contributing to the existence of this new Ma'at ethical code, which I want to share with our brothers and sisters tonight. So I want to give a sort of a preamble to why we have decided and taken the effort, practicing Kujichagulia, self-determination, to arm ourselves with a new set of codes to deal with our present issues. And throughout our story of Nile Valley African civilizations, there were periodic internal disruptions and foreign invasions. Our ancestors governed themselves by the spiritual culture of Ma'at, SMAI TAUWI. The periodic invasions and interruptions are known in Egyptology as intermediate periods, and these intermediate periods caused the breakdown of the Ma'atian order of harmony and prosperity that existed in the nation. And so each time this occurred, a leader arose from the southern region of Nubia and Kush to restore Ma'at, to Serush Ma'at. With the last foreign Arab invasions of SMAI TAUWI in 640 A.D., the spiritual culture of Ma'at became almost extinct. Now, Western Egyptology is fascinated and in awe of the magnificent architecture, the jewelry, the art of the ancient Africans of the Nile, yet they fail to elaborate on what they've discovered concerning the spiritual, ethical culture of Ma'at practiced and lived by the Africans of the Nile. The reason is simple. Western man has been at war with harmonious nature and indigenous people whenever and wherever encountered. The ancient ancestors from the southern regions of Nubia and Kush who restored Ma'at, they accomplished this task by invoking the divine principle of Ptah. Ptah in Kemetic cosmology was known and referred to as the opener of the way and the restorer of a new foundation. So today we African ascendants of this great civilization are awakening in Amenta, the West. Our consciousness has been awakened by the works, words, and legacy of our esteemed ancestors, elders, scholars, and some of us, therefore, have made the decision to correct our present condition of spiritual, cultural, and ethical exile through the restoration and application of Serush Ma'at, SMAI TAUWI, the restoration of ancestral truth and unity. Beloved sisters and brothers, we are Kemurian melanoids. We are visible members of a photonic race, of light beings. And we are Earths. We carry the genes of our Earth elders. We carry in our very skin the melanic memory of our cosmic solar star and earthly African origins. And for this visible kiss of the sun, we are alternately envied and vilified. So today many of us have been effectively brain-stained. Notice I didn't say brainwashed, because to wash something is to clean it. Now we have been brain-stained and brain-dirtied. And so in this condition, we unwittingly serve the genocidal designs of the psycho-pseudo-leucoderms. We, so-called black, quote, people, are honest and brave enough to claim some of the responsibility for some of the conditions that assail us. High on the list are in-house divisive religions, homicides, drive-bys, jealousy, envy, and backbiting. And this suicidal and psychotic behavior makes a mockery of the fact that black lives matter. For if we fail to love and respect, protect, and honor our own and each other's lives, why should we expect others to care about, respect, and honor our lives? So, beloved, it was in that spirit that we were called upon to address some of these issues by convening these Kavenants. The Ka, in our legacy, the two upraised arms, means that which is exalted, that which is elevated. And that's what we are called upon to do, to elevate our ethical standards, how we deal with each other, how we deal with the divine purpose. So I'd like to begin to share these 42 new ethical covenants of Ma'at with our beloved brothers and sisters listening. Number 1, not do I flirt with ancestral treason. By failing to identify myself as African in the Americas and in the universal diaspora. Not do I discourage, devalue, or do harm to a fellow African sister or brother, or fail to honor and keep my word. Number 3, not do I discriminate against my African sisters or brothers based on skin complexion or phenotype. Number 4, not do I participate in African genocide or tolerate agents who defame all indigenous life and their spiritual practices. Number 5, not do I indulge in genocidal gun terror in the streets and homes of my community. Number 6, not do I protect by my silence those who steal from or do violence to each other in my community. 7, not do I protect by my silence the enemies of Ma'at who threaten the peace and safety of my community. 8, not do I run and hide from injustice done to an African by bullies who terrorize, nor do I retain silence as institutions retilionize and felonize our youth. 9. Not do I fail to avoid in every possible way contact or confrontation with armed or unarmed public servants. Number 10. Not do I tolerate the institutional racism, poverty, stress, and hopelessness, which are the main reasons for legal and illegal drug addiction, mental illness, suicides, and homicides. 11. Not do I join any group which require hazing or harmful initiations that cause injury or shame to another human being. 12. Not do I indulge in ageism, tolerate racism, sexism, classism, militarism. 13. Not do I violate, ignore, or marginalize our elders or hesitate to seek the counsel of elders who are the wisdom keepers of our ancestral legacy. 14. Not do I hold on to beliefs which contradict my hereditary ancestral knowledge, history, and culture. 15. Not do I address the divine in prayer or praise by paternal titles, names, or pronouns without honoring the maternal aspects, mother, father of all creation, who we call Netera. Not do I join, number 16, with any religion whose scriptures even remotely support chattel slavery, mutilation, torture, or murder. 17. Not do I indulge in self-hate, self-deprecation, or music whose lyrics promote violence and denigrate our women. Number 18. Not do I verbally assault women, men, or children with violent, vicious, evil, and hurtful words. 19. Not do I touch the body temple of a woman without her conscious consent or permission. 20. Not do I sexually molest or tolerate the sexual molestation of the body, mind, and spirit of any child. 21. Not do I rape physically, mentally, or spiritually the body, mind, or spirit of any woman, man, or child. 22. Not do I indulge in or tolerate incest. 23. Not do I engage in any sexual practice with man or woman which offends the elementary laws of hygiene. 24. Not do I, as a man, waste the procreative power of my life essence through sexual excess, or I, as a woman, use abortions as a means of self-control, of birth control. 25. Not do I partake of foods or substances, sugar or pharmaceuticals whose side effects cause injury to the health and wellness of my body. 26. Not do I fail to hydrate my body temple, practice deep breathing, meditate, and exercise on a daily basis. 27. Not do I chemically alter my skin complexion or hair texture. 28. Not do I volunteer my body temple as a billboard to be branded again by historical oppressors, or by the names of historical oppressors, their brand names. 29. Not do I fail to fast at the four seasons, the four seasonal changes of the year, and periodically according to my personal needs. Number 30. Not do I damage my liver by harboring fear, hatred, jealousy, anger, envy, greed, or self-pity. 31. Not do I fail to support and give historical, cultural, and spiritual guidance to the children I've birthed. 32. Not do I fail to support, instruct, encourage, and protect the children of my community. 33. Not do I fail to teach the youth of my community to learn, live, uphold, and practice these sacred Ma'at covenants. And I have in front of me here, to fulfill that desire, a book of Ma'at, 42 Laws of Ma'at for Children by Kajara Nia Ya Nebethet. A fabulous little book that we can start the children off with immediately. Call and order some of them for the children. Not do I fail, number 34, to support with my economic power farmers, gardeners, health practitioners, artists, entrepreneurs, builders, craftswomen, and craftsmen of my community. Number 35, not do I feed with my economic power or tithes the treasury of racist businesses or fundamentalist misogynistic religions. Number 36, not do I, as an elder or counselor, take advantage of the spiritual, mental, or sexual vulnerability of those I guide or counsel. And I should also add, take advantage of their financial situation. Not do I, as an elder or counselor, take advantage. Very important. Not do I mistake letters or degrees from any college or university as indicative of an authentic and holistic education. 38, not do I display in my home, school, or place of worship images of spiritual teachers or prophets contrary to their true cultural, ethnic, or geographical origin. 39, not do I disrespect, devalue, or bootleg intellectual properties or fail to give credit where due to those in my community. 40, not do I dress or exhibit behavior which invites or provokes disrespect, shock, or pity. 41, not do I fail to honor my divine mate, my financial responsibilities to the household, and bequeath and safeguard an inheritance. 42, not do I pollute the environment, denature the seeds or soil, or disregard or challenge the natural laws of the universe. And that brings to completion these 42 new ethical covenants of Ma'at, and I trust that everyone would look at these and start a conversation in your community and begin to find the elders who will sit on Ma'at councils in our community so that when these are violated, that those who feel violated can go to an elder, a board of elders, and have the one who was doing the offensive act brought before the elders, or have a council session with the elders to ascertain what can be done to resolve the conflict. Because sometimes when you call for members outside of the community to solve problems, you may end up being a victim. So we have to begin to arm ourselves by avoiding situations that is causing so much of the misery and robbing the community blind because of the enormous amount of money spent in the legal department, of bail bondsmen, of all of those things that keep the machinery going to felonize our youth. So if we will embrace our 42 laws of Ma'at, that will begin to solve our issues. And likewise, there is a very important book that I'm holding here by Ife Kilimanjaro, Tedeka Kilimanjaro, Yahra Anheb, and Tigamba Heru, an elder, who brought a beautiful book of Ma'at, Guiding Principles of Moral Living. This was a gift given to me by Ra Kepir, Sanku Kepir of the Temple of Anu in Newark, and it's a beautiful book that I think goes hand in hand with these 42 to even reinforce our need to claim. And likewise, there's the book of SMAI TAUWI, written by Heru, he's the brother who wrote the other book, Maat Comedic Soulism, and I had the pleasure he asked me to write the introduction to this book, SMAI TAUWI, and that's one that I think everyone should get. And Distorted Truths, the Bastardization of African Cosmology by Damani Ageikum. I suggest that this is a very powerful book, likewise, all in the zone of reclaiming Ma'at, of pointing to a direction that we can be going collectively. Regardless of our religion, it's our duty to pay some attention to the ancient ones who guided all these modern religions into existence. their prophets at least are given credit to having been spared by the people of the Nile Valley, who practiced these ethical codes of Ma'at, the ancient codes of Ma'at, the confessions, which are called the negative confessions today. And so we are just picking up where the baton that our ancestors dropped, and we are saying that no longer is this legacy something trapped behind glass cases in museums. It's very much alive because many Westerners are fascinated by all the art, by the beauty, and they go to great lengths to preserve it, and it's a good thing. But it's preserving the lifestyle of the people who created that kind of beauty that we are about. And that's based upon Ma'at. So I want to thank you for the opportunity to share this with our sisters and brothers. And I'm open to any comments, any additional suggestions from anyone listening. I am open to address that.
All right. Well, I can see we do have some questions popping up already. And
I'm sure.
If you do a question, you are welcome to dial 1 if you have called in, or you could put your question in the chat room. And I would just, you gave us a lot, Baba, so we thank you.
I didn't give it to you. We got a lot. We're just addressing it.
We are very, very thankful. And, I am old school. So when I saw the new ethical covenants, I was like, yes, this is very much needed, because I do feel like things have gotten out of hand. I was just talking to someone earlier, and they were talking about trust issues with people, and I'm like, it is hard to trust people now because of the time that we're in, and, maybe because the crack era will ever happen, our community has changed so much. But we can reclaim our culture. We can, turn it around. We just have to work at it consciously. So I salute you for gathering the MA'AT Council and bringing forth these new covenants, which will challenge us as a conscious community, especially because, those of us who already know about MA'AT. And a lot of times we hear people say the so-called conscious community, and I'm like, either we conscious or we're not. And but we do need to be challenged, and we do need to elevate, and we do need the guidance of our elders to help us, to guide us, to show us, which direction to move in. So I give thanks, and what you say, sis? You have any comments before we take the questions?
Yes, I really appreciate the language in which this is written. I believe that it will definitely speak to those of us that are in the community, that language is in a way that addresses much of what we see to be problems, and not just problems, but much of the, when we actually do adhere and can honestly say, not do I, and complete all the 42 statements, all the covenants of Ma'at, that, we are basically raising the standard of not only our community but humanity.
Give thanks.
As it is right now. And I really think that this is very important, especially in the diaspora, much of the issues that we have within ourselves, and fixing our own issues in-house. This is very important. So I definitely salute your spirit, and I'm very grateful to be able to be in a conversation and really to listen and learn. So I'm grateful to that.
Yes, indeed. So once again, it's a pleasure to be on, and I hope that I would hear from the audience and to any suggestions that they would have as to how they intend to implement or to start a conversation in your community. I feel that these can create a conversation in a workshop setting where people will come together to discuss these things and to discuss addressing what we're going to do for ourselves personally and collectively to address some of these issues. And I think it's going to call for some organization, because it's one thing to throw out some ideas out here as what needs to be done, but how are we going to go about doing it? Well, I think a discussion is the first step. We have to change the conversation, because right now we are being distracted. And as in being distracted, we're being victimized, and we can do something about it. We don't have to be we can do something about some of this. We don't have to assume that other people are so smart that they can, quote, do this to us. I'm tired of the Willie Lynch excuse. I refuse to accept that one person could so turn a whole race of humanity's elders. So I think we have to take some responsibilities for what's going on. Our need to continue this sleep that we've been on. It's time to wake up. We are seeing how the various systems of spiritual guidance, which they call religions, are going virtually bankrupt before our very eyes in terms of the standards that they're supposed to be upholding. We see this happening across the board. We see just death coming from people who are proclaiming peace, who are wishing us and telling us about the sweet by and by, while they create hell right now on earth, so this is something that I think we need to begin to focus on what we can do. And we don't have to march. We don't have to call anybody names. We just have to silently take our mind, our attention away from the distractions and focus on what our ancestors left us as a divine legacy. Our elders have worked very hard to leave us so much information by which we can rebuild our consciousness and restore ourselves. It's just the lack of the spirit or the will, and the lack of a chem print. People call it the black print. We need a chem print, and our ancestors gave us one. It's called Ma'at. It's called embracing a life that leads to harmony. Now, some people say, well, how can we do this when we're beset by all this poverty and all this stuff going on? Well, not all of us are in that situation, but those of us who have more can do more to assist our sisters and brothers. But all we need is really, in addition to all the other material things, is a boost of our spirit. And our ancestors have given that to us. And so as we look towards embracing Ma'at, of healing ourselves, because in claiming this legacy, what are we involved in this for? Just to say Hotep and to carry the Ankh? No, it's to do some work. There's some healing to be done, first of self, of ourselves, and then in our immediate community. And I'm telling you something, when you begin this process, expect to be treated like you're some kind of an outsider right in your own family. They're going to call you the oddball. But if you are consistent and you're persistent in demonstrating the power of this legacy, this thousands of years old legacy, this millions of years old legacy of Ma'at, to transform your personal condition in the face of your family and of doubters and friends, eventually they're going to come to you. Oh, what's that you're drinking? You're having some herbs tea today? Oh, I see you eating some rabbit food, all that green stuff, So by the example you set, people will begin to inquire. And that's part of the reason why, for me, my work, my ministry has become more the craft, because these emblems of our culture helps to awaken our brothers and sisters as we just walk in our community. It also helps to serve notice to some folks that we have not been fooled. All those curses that you've leveled against this place that you miscall Egypt, your crime has been discovered. You are a liar. We did not worship many gods, as you say. The word God did not even exist for us. The Gothic people had not yet enshrined their very ethnicity in a name for deity. Our ancestors called the divine mother and father of all creation by the word neter, necher, netera. All those names, NTR, from which we get the word nature, is what our ancestors called the divine. And it was not just a he, it was the great divine mother, father of creation. We never, as people of African ascent, address the divine without acknowledging the mother, first and foremost, side by side with the father. The people say, "Oh, well, is that not polytheistic? You worship many gods?" Well, you've got angels. Our ancestors had Neteru. We have the various expressions of the divine, which you call gods and goddesses, but which are principles and forces that are indwelling as well as cosmically ordained. So, I think I've said enough. Let me hear from some sister or brother listening out here.
All right. Well, callers, if you want to join in, we had someone who was waiting, and I think they dropped off.
Oh.
But if someone has a question or would like to join the conversation, please dial 1 so we can bring you in. And we also have a conversation going on in the chat room. People are speaking, or a sister, I believe, asked about having events that are more family-oriented, and that is, we do a lot of events that are not necessarily family-oriented, but that is something that we would like to do more of. So we will take a note of that. And I am going to bring in our caller at area code 504. Peace and love, Hetep.
Yeah, God bless you. How are you doing this evening?
I'm thankful. How are you?
Good, good. First time hearing the show, so I'm glad to listen in. I had a discussion with someone today regarding the pros and cons of using marijuana. I just wanted to get you all's perspective on that subject matter.
To tell you the truth, it's just another herb, and but like all herbs, there are certain protocols by which you approach them. These are divine instruments that the Most High has put on the earth, and humanity have used all different types of herbs in different ways throughout the history of humanity, and of course, a lot of people are making money by heaping curses on a plant. So I would say that you can take grapes, which are very delicious, and you can create a wine, and you can, get behind the wheel of a car and kill a few people in the same way that you. So this fear of an herb is amazing to me, I would suggest that people who partake, if you are going to deal with fire, there's got to be water. So you can't be just setting up smoke signals and not paying attention to how you may be dehydrating your body. So you must drink a lot of herbal teas, it's just another herb. You can use it as a tea if you wish. And so that's my take on it. And of course I would strongly suggest that children resist that because they have to be given guidance. You cannot, young people, really, it's something that I would not suggest anyone on the age of 25 to partake in. Because if you don't have energy to process what the shift of your consciousness, you may just stay in Never Never Land, like many people do. So that's everything has its protocol.
Okay. All right. We appreciate your comments there.
Give thanks and praise, my brother.
All right. God bless.
All right. Do I thank you, caller, for your question, and we thank you, brother, for your answer. And we do have another caller at area code 804. Pet, peace and love. Welcome to the call.
Hotel, peace and love. This is Sister GK in Richmond, Virginia.
Hatapu, my sister.
Okay.
Hatapu. First, I'd like to thank the host for this program, and I'd like to thank the guests for being on. I am feeling that this information that you have brought forward is so very timely. Of course, as we know, the Most High brings things to us as we need them. And I have heard on a couple of occasions the need for our community code. And so I am honored and humbled that this information has come forward at this particular time. I represent a community here in Richmond that has been remembering our ancestors at the Temple of Heru, and we have renamed. And we are, as you have articulated, and as this wonderful work here that these sisters do, bring forward our Kemetic knowledge and walk in our Kemetic strength. So I just want to say thank you, and I look forward to our organization implementing these principles that you have brought forward.
Oh, beloved, thank you so much. Please leave your information on the on our website, so how we may contact you, because we're printing them up as posters, 17 inches wide by 22 inches long, and very powerful stock of paper and beautiful Kemetic colors with the Lady Maat, who was replaced by Lady Just Ice, the color Justice. Yeah. Anyway, she's gracing the top of these Kavenants. And so we look forward to being able to get some to you also. And let's be in touch. As a matter of fact, I'm sure, Sister Kajara, you have her number?
Well, why don't you go ahead and give us the website so that all of our listeners will have an opportunity. You can actually go and view those logs now, and then once the posters are listed, they'll be on that site. So what website is it?
It's the Shrine of Ptah, PTAH.org.
Okay.
You got this, Sister Kajari? When we use different names, Kajara, Sister Kajara. This is Sister, also known as Sister Monica. Give thanks and praise for you, and I'll be looking for your number 1 book as well.
All right, sis. Thank you so much for calling, and look out for those books. The level 1 book, we have a list of books on there, but also look out for the poster that's going to be coming up. And we thank you so much for calling in.
All right. Peace and blessings.
Give thanks.
All right.
So she's got a Temple of Heru, she was saying, my sister?
Oh, Temple, let me see.
Did she mention, Sister Monica, she mentioned she had a Temple of Heru?
She did mention the Temple of Heru, and she actually hung up already. So, Sister, she hung up. So
you have her number, don't you?
Yeah, I can write her number down, Baba. I will do that. All right.
Yeah, because Heru, that's my one of my native shrines, and I really need to be in touch with those young people who are in that shrine.
In Virginia. All right. We have a couple more callers who are holding on. I'm going to bring in our caller at area code 972. Peace and love. Welcome to the call.
Peace and love, Hatep, brother and sister. I have a question in regards to how do you feel about the migration, or a lot of people are talking about the migration towards the towards the equator in the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn. There's been a lot of discussion about it, especially with some of my friends that involved with in regards to talking about this? And
you mean universally this is taking place across the world?
Yes.
People are moving closer to the equator?
Yes.
Well, obviously it's humanity is like a river, and just like rivers, they have their rise and fall and their meander, and sometimes they overflow their banks. This seems to be what's happening. People are feeling a shift, and they're being called to the sun. They're being called to the tribe. So it makes sense to me, because in a minute, people are spontaneously combusting in these northern zones. But I don't know how they intend to. If they're moving to that tropical zone, they're going to find they may have to shift their behavior, because all that eating of flesh. When you're in the tropical zone, it should call for you to shift your diet into more of a light of fruit and greens, and where the sun lives, in the chlorophyll. And a lot of people are going to find themselves still stuck in their old ways, so moving towards the tropical zone will not avail them if they don't shift their behavior patterns in terms of what they eat and what they're processing due to what they're eating, how they're processing their thoughts due to what's going into their bellies and into their minds, what's being fed to them on social media and all this kind of food that is not really nourishing.
I've actually heard about people moving towards the equator, and I know it is a part of the shift that people are feeling, and it's kind of like a pull. It's like drawing energy. I'm drawn to move myself. Yeah, definitely. So, I would say it is probably a spiritual thing. And they are saying that the poles are going to shift. They already are shifting a bit. The poles are melting and things like that. So it may be safer to live near the equator, because I don't think that will shift. I don't know. But, I guess that could be a part of it. But that is another show topic, actually.
Yes,
so
indeed.
We thank you so much for calling in and joining our show. Did you have anything else you want to share, sis?
That is it. Thank you, sister. Thank you, brother.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay. Peace and love.
I hope these listeners will go and see some of the works that I do at the studioofptah.com. And that's the Studio of Ptah. That's where I do the work of creating the fabulous wedding bands, engagement rings, and all that. And, let me say this to you sacred women out there, you women who have been brought into the knowledge of this ancient legacy by way of that fantastic book written by Queen Afua, to whom I had the pleasure of being with for 18 years. And this woman, she has written a fantastic book that has helped so many. The experience of seeing sisters from all walks of life, from all religions, finding out about the glory of a legacy that can help to heal them on so many different levels. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life, because it's in our women that we're going to be able to shift this thing, because what you bring out of your womb makes all the difference, my beloved sisters. And let me tell you something. You are getting this knowledge in order to share this knowledge with your daughters to help to prepare their wombs for bringing forth the messengers of Heru, those who are going to uphold our ancient Maatian codes. We have been under a 2,500 to 2,700 year hiatus, or an intermediate period from the time of our true sovereignty as a people, not just a geographical sovereignty, but a spiritual sovereignty. And it's a wake-up time. This age is demanding knowledge. We can begin to ease down the burden of belief and the preponderance amount of faith needed to sustain belief. We can just now let that load down and just fly to the air of knowledge, to the fresh winds of knowledge that is blowing and calling us to service, that's calling us to healing, because this is a sick place. This earth has become so sick. It needs healers, and this is what our work is to be. This is what we come into this spiritual life for. First, to heal ourselves, because we realize, hey, this ain't happening. So we begin to look for ways beyond what we were told, becomes what we've been brought up into and conditioned to believe. And we discover that, hey, there's a whole body of root knowledge that we need in order to resurrect ourselves on so many different levels. But because we've been following our anthropological juniors instead of listening to humanity's anthropological elders who left us all that we need up and down the Nile Valley, and it's now scattered throughout the museums of the Western world, the inspiration of who we are. And you see this legacy of ancient Kemet, or SMAI TAUWI. I prefer to use SMAI TAUWI because that references the entire experience of Nile Valley culture, not just Egypt. That's where it's wound up. That's the sacred library where it was stored, where so much of the knowledge was stored and preserved. But that's not where it began. And if I tell you where, if it had its beginnings, our ancestors said it came from the stars. But its oldest expression on this earth was in the Nile Valley, for which we have ample records. Now, you can talk about Atlantis, Lemuria, and Mu all day and all night, but I can show you SMAI TAUWI. I can show you Kemet. I can show you the temples. And it's ironic that those temples are now in the hands of people who are not even supposed to be near them, because they consider them the houses of infidels and pagans and heathens. You know, it's amazing how we allow these folks to just denigrate ancient African Nile Valley culture when their very books say that we educated and rescued and saved all their major prophets. At the very end, they turn against the very people who was living a Ma'atian lifestyle and who were carrying the Ankh. When Abraham came into the Nile Valley around 1875 BCE, he met priests and priestesses who were carrying the Ankh. When your prophet Moses, who they call Moses, the bringer of the Ten Commandments, which he took out of the 42 laws of Maat, you said in your book of Acts, 7th chapter, 22nd verse, that he was taught in all the wisdom. Here you're admitting that these ancient people had wisdom and that Moses was taught in their wisdom. And then your prophet Yeshua, who you now miscall in such a disrespectful Latinized name, Jesus, his name is Yeshua. If he was Hebrew born, then he had to have been Yeshua. There was no J then in the Hebrew language. So you have to respect the one that you call the Son of God by calling him by his proper name. Stop changing people's names. Stop changing the names of lands and the names of people. And which brings me to another conversation, but that'll have to wait. But this is what we're called upon to do, to make it short, to restore Ma'at.
Yeah.
And our ancestors left us a guide.
Yeah.
Give thanks and praise.
I like that we don't have. I like that we have to look at ourselves, and you know, people must understand that this is like a spiritual mirror. We have gotten in the habit of a people, and you know, modern culture in the conscious community, looking at other people and what they're doing or not doing, or what they've done wrong, or, you know, very rarely do we view them through the lens of what they have done right, you know, but to look at ourselves and fix our own selves in our mirror, and that effectively make that change that you were talking about from, you know, our being that outcast in the family or in the community, you know, to living this life. It's very going to affect a change that's going to ripple throughout our community. Did you face any challenges as you were coming into this knowledge and applying it yourself? And in what ways did you? What were some of the challenges, and how did you deal with it?
You speaking to me, my sister?
Yes, please. Yes. Yes, Baba.
Beloved, I was blessed to have been born tropically under the sign of Leo and sidereally under the sign of Kepara, which they call Cancer. So I carry both the sun and the moon. And from day one, I knew I was all that. But more than that, I know that we are all that. You
Love
see?
it.
And so to know and to walk in that confidence, due to so much of the research and the information that has been given to us by our elders, by our ancestors, by our scholars, and going there and checking out for ourselves, we know we are on the right track. So that alone allows us to absorb all the scorn and all of the, they must be crazy. Talk about what you eat, how you dress funny. Why don't you do your hair? But we're just called upon to be who we are, to do this work. It's wake-up time, and somebody got to ring the bell. And I guess you can choose to be chosen. I think that's what we have done. We've chose to be chosen. Or maybe we were ordained to have been given that inclination to choose to be chosen, to do this work. So we're going to stand out, and people are going to wonder about our sanity, but that's okay. Oh, somebody said, that's old, that's ancient. We got to deal with today. Well, I'm here to inform you. On Friday night, the Muslim goes and deals, and he reels back over 1,400 years. Okay. On Saturday, the Jews they go and they reel back about between 5,000 to 6,000 years. Okay. On Sunday, the Christians go and they reel back to 2,000 years. But when we people of African ascent begin to look at our thousands of years, we're told, that's old stuff. Deal with now. But all of the whole citadel of this whole system rests on what they got from the ancients. Okay? But we have been getting it secondhand instead of going to the source where our ancestors left it. And that's why we're in the fix we're in. But we can change it, and we have been changing it. We're being guided, and we're being given so much to deal with, so much to convince ourselves that we're on the right track. I mean, harmony is what this world needs, and that's what Ma'at is all about. And now you see, it's a gift to the world. Yes, we people of African ascent are being called to carry the Ankh, because I don't see the other folk carry it except behind closed doors, because the big secret is that whatever they've got in their so-called esoteric systems comes out of the divine mother that they call Africa. We call her Afraka, Af the flesh, Ra the hidden sun, and Ka the divine soul essence. That's who we are, the flesh and the soul of the hidden sun. And it's because of the mark of that hidden sun in our skin that we are so vilified and envied. You see? So when you walk in the surety that you are a child of the Ra, and you have been blessed by its mark, they can call you whatever they want to. We know it's just because of envy. And when you understand that, you can begin to almost have compassion for the one who calls himself your enemy and calls you such vile and vicious names, and would lynch you if he could conserve it back to the plantation. Anyway, this is what we're faced with today.
Yes. Well, we do have another caller who is in from area code 702. SePtah, peace and love. Welcome to the call.
SePtah, thank you. I just wanted to know if you could please, Baba Heru, give over the book titles that you gave. Like, how were some of them spelled, please?
I beg your pardon?
How are the book titles, like the last two books that you gave, how are they spelled?
Okay, yeah, the fantastic books. You go online, and maybe I think it's out of print, but it's called. One is called Maat. It's written by 4 people who have their names on the cover. By Ife Kilimanjaro, Ph.D., and by Tidaka Kilimanjaro, Ph.D., and by Yahra Aneb Sabah, which means teacher or elder, and Tigamba Heru, an elder. And the title of the book is called Ma'at, Guiding Principles of Moral Living. And it's published by the University of Kemet Press, KMT Press. And then there is these lovely books, the 2 books, the 42 Laws of Ma'at for Children. It's called Light as a Feather, written by Kajara Niaya Nebethet, and art by Adolfo. Adolfo, my brother, you have done such a fantastic job of putting the picture to these codes of Ma'at as edited by our beloved priestess Kajara. This book, I was so excited when I opened this. I said, gosh, I'm having fun with this. This is for children? Well, the child in me got so tickled when I saw all these colors and these brothers and sisters, these little kids here with their cornrows and locks. I said, look at here. I just love this book. I just got so tickled. And he draws our people in all different complexions, you know, from our dark pink to our ebony, you know. It's such a beautiful book. So I want to congratulate you, Priestess Kajara, for doing this wonderful work, and for the art of Brother Adolfo, and also your level 1 of your Ra Sekhi, the practice, Kemetic Reiki. I remember years ago, I was having the Shrine of Ptah in Brooklyn, and one of the priestesses, she brought in a brother to teach Reiki. And I asked about the history of Reiki, and I understood that it was an ancient method of healing with the hands and the projection of energy. It was rediscovered by a Japanese Christian. And I said, So I said to her, I said, the Shrine of Ptah, we exist for the purpose of trying to hold the line as old kingdom as we can, as conservative of the ancient foundation of Maat that our ancestors laid down. And so I just said, I just stopped for a moment, and it was, the thought leaves me now. But I said to her, I said, when you bring a brother in here, please have him bring it in the Kemetic sense. I want to hold the line, giving credit to our ancestors for these ancient spiritual technologies of healing that they were masters of. So to see this book written and giving credit to the ancient people of the Nile for originating this system of what is now known as Reiki, it was very gratifying. It's taking our culture back. People are talking about taking our country back. Well, while they do that, we got to take our culture back. And when we take our culture back, we'll find that our country is the world. The boundaries that we have created in order to start wars is a thing of the past. And people are just living a nightmare that has been created by the divisions of the human family. With all these boundaries, especially Africa, they were victimized in the Berlin Conference, and our Divine Mother was cut to pieces. Reminds me of what they did to Asar, And but that's a whole other story that I'd like to share with our sisters and brothers. How that legend of Asar has become prophecy, and why we are Heru rising, Heru and Herutu rising here in the West to bring about the healing that's so necessary. Without guns, but with a powerful force that will silence guns.
I appreciate that. And may I ask, how do you spell the other title that you mentioned?
There's another one here.
Tawi?
SMAI TAUWI. SMAI, SMAI TAUWI. You know, many people don't realize that's the name of the original Nile Valley, sacred, sovereign nation. SMAI means union. TAUWI means the two regions, the two lands. It could also mean the unity of heaven and earth. All complements are SMAI TAUWI. Your in-breath and your out-breath, that's SMAI TAUWI. Your red cells and your white cells, that's SMAI TAUWI. Your lymphatic system and your blood system, that's SMAI TAUWI. Your left brain and your right brain, that's SMAI TAUWI. East and west is SMAI TAUWI. North and south is SMAI TAUWI. Male and female is SMAI TAUWI. All it's SMAI TAUWIism is a recognition that all things that exist in this complementary twin of the masculine and the feminine powers in this universe. So this book addresses that ancient paradigm that we can use, but to come to that kind of understanding, we have to be initiated on the road to Ma'at, to establish balance within ourselves as much as possible as we seek to export it around us wherever we move. So this is a very important book, SMAI TAUWI, and it deals with a lot of our stuff that we need to correct. And the writer, Maheru Tep, he is merciless. My gosh, he writes some stuff in this book that he asked me to write an introduction, and he said, "Brother, I want you to write a 65-page introduction." I said, "Brother, you want me to go to jail with you?" And he laughed about it, but this book is heavy, and it's tough. But you'll love it. There's so much information in here. I think it's about 800? It's about 834 pages. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wonderful. And then was there one more title? I think.
Yes, Distorted Truths by the Bastardization of African Cosmology by S.K. Damani, D-A-M-A-N-I. His second name is A-G-Y-E Agyekum, K-U-M. A-G-Y-E-K-U-M. And I don't know, my sister, do you happen to have a copy of the Egyptian Book of the Dead?
Yes.
They call it the Pertem Heru. Oh, by the way, and also you may want to pick up a copy of the book called The Ankh, written by Nur Ankh Amen, The African Origins of Electromagnetism.
I have that, okay.
You have that book?
And I also have Mama Kajara's books, too, but I do need to get Lighters of Feather.
Yes, I think you do. Mm-hmm. By the way, on that book, The Ankh, you see I wrote the afterword in the back of it. Mm-hmm. I wrote about the Ankh from its spiritual and cultural application. That's why they call me the Ankh Man.
Okay.
Yeah, so go on my website and see. If you don't have an Ankh, I'll make one for you as earring, ring, pendant. You know, I made the ones that Erykah Badu wears. Those big Ankhs on her fingers, I make those. So we have to be Ankh ambassadors for life, because all around us we see death. People promising us heaven and creating hell on earth.
I appreciate that. I will look. And I am going to also print out the new laws you also printed as well. And since Black History Month starts on Monday, the school I work in, I'm going to have those posted and share those with the students as well.
Oh, wow.
So
I would like to know the feedback that you
get.
Because, some of it's going to seem controversial, which is good. It'll start a conversation.
Yeah, I agree. I appreciate the time. I know I have a lot of questions. I appreciate your time. Peace and blessings.
It's my pleasure. Feel free to call at the studio of Ptah. That number is 212-343-9706. 212-343-9706.
I sure will.
Mm-hmm.
You are.
Tua.
All right.
Give
It's
thanks.
good, my sister.
Where are the brothers, my sister? Where are the brothers?
That's the question. All right. For our brothers who are listening in, call in with your comments or questions. In the meantime, we do have another caller at area code 646. This is actually one of our Seba, our teachers, Moot, peace and Moot, Hetep.
Blessings and peace. Hotep, how are you all tonight?
Oh, wonderful. Give thanks and praise.
Give thanks. Blessings to you, Mr. Jara. And Aura. I'm sorry, I'm coming into my house. Okay. Well, my first question is, I have two. Since you have offered up these Martian laws, these new ones, I'm wondering how they have been received, and if there were any that, which ones, if any, have had the most query? Have people had the most questions about? Just curious about that.
Well, to tell you the truth, my sister, I am still waiting for the verdict on that, because all I've been getting is a positive response for the totality of it, for the temper and the energy of it, So far I haven't gotten any particular responses to any particular, because this is just being launched, really,
Right.
And so I guess there's more, like you called in, if you will recommend to people in your Facebook to go and make their comments, then we'll be able to collect and see and be able to better answer that question in an honest way rather than in a wishful way, As more people are driven to the site to read them and to see them and to make their comments, then we'll be able to collect those comments and collate them and see which one is creating more of a focus, which ones, on what scale, from 1 to 42. We can do that, So I want to thank you for that question, and I hope that the listeners out there will get busy and go and check them and meditate on them and come up with, if you think something is missing or you think something needs to be added or whatever, that too is good. Or it can remain as it is, and in your area where you live, and according to the circumstances in your situation, in your neighborhood, you can have addendums to these, to deal with conditions in your area. That's the reason why I say that I feel collectively, if people begin to rally behind these 42 covenants, then they will have to naturally be prepared to take part in Ma'at boards or Ma'at chairs or wherever, where elders can help to administer these or to encourage the continuation of contact with these 42 covenants of Maat, and also to be aware of the ancient ones, because they're not going anywhere. They are still there, and they're very needed. But these ones that we do are focusing on issues that we have been made into a different people than we used to be because of our involvement here in the West, and because of the migrations and our contact with different cultures, and we've acquired. And so many of us we are like a rudderless ship. We have power, but we're floundering because it's not grounded in the shore knowledge our ancestors left us. We have been distracted following people who took some of our stuff, shifted around, changed names, and changed in order to suit their purpose. And then we follow them when in our genes we're being called for something else. And there's this internal confusion. So we try to drown it out by singing hymns very loud and shouting and carrying on. But there's an emptiness. We know that something is missing. And when you begin to feel the call of these elders who've been out here, people like Dr. Ben, John Hendrick Clark, Ivan Van Sertima, and so many others, our beloved Francis Quest Welsing, who just got on the boat of Ra, and so many of our sisters and brothers who've been telling us about the beauty of our culture, and this could be the what we truly need, and that's why we are here on this radio program right now. You are, my beloved sister, asking this question. You are part of the answer, and this is what's going on, and we ought to realize it and take responsibility, because I think that's what's called for.
And I do have another question.
Yes, brother.
So it seems to me, well, there's a lot going on in the world, in this country, with regard to our safety and violence against us and all of that. And it's my belief, it is my knowing that in order to meet these challenges, we must do it on a spiritual level and transcend.
Yes.
However, it's rather difficult, and I'm finding, especially amongst the young people that I know, it's rather difficult to I find it rather difficult or a challenge to present that in a way that they will understand, because they're feeling the hurt and the pain and witnessing through video and Facebook and all of the social media these things that are happening so violently to our young men and to our women. So, and I'm not speaking of Black Lives Matter at this time, because they are not a violent group. They're meeting the challenges in their nonviolent way, but very effective. But then there's a segment that wants to do more, to go beyond that. And it reminds me of the Martin Luther King, Malcolm X by any means necessary debate. But my question is, what do you think is the best approach in terms of explaining to the masses that the fight must be, it's an inner battle that we must make before we can make this outer battle? I mean,
there's no doubt about it. Well, that's why I say that within our own house, we are divided on many levels. We are not, our greatness was predicated upon our unity as a people. Nowadays, we all claim, that we believe in God, but we believe in God through different windows of what we call religion, usually brought to us by those who enslaved us in the first place. People forget that the people of the Arabs were involved in the slave trade for 1,000 years before the Europeans got involved in the slave trade, and so we jump from the frying pan into the fire. Our Christian or Caucasian former would-be masters, they claim Christianity. So in order to make them mad, we jump into Islam. And then we go back and forth. When basically the solution of our problems will not be brought about by the divisiveness of modern patriarchal religiosity. I think it's going to come from embracing a spiritual vision and uniting under that spiritual vision across the lines of religion and politics, and these divisive vehicles that keep the human family at each other's throats, But, however, it's not everyone who's going to come and rally to this, to Ma'at, because it's not easy. But you see, our ancestors gave us a tool to deal with the not easy situation. It's called the Heru spirit. Heru expects a challenge. The Babalawo would come to me and say, someone is trying to do harm unto you. I said, well, that's normal. Set is always on the prowl, but Heru is ready. So you don't, it's to arm ourselves with this awareness that we have spiritual tools that we can resist and begin to transform our condition. But as you said, it has to begin with self-center. We have to take that mirror of Het Heru and use it for our healing. We have to look at it. We have to have the nerve, I said, and that's why I said that we so-called black people are honest and brave enough to claim some of the responsibility for some of the conditions that assail us. And high on the list are in-house divisive religions, our homicides, our quarrels, our drive-bys, the jealousy that we have of each other's good fortune, our envy and backbiting, the gossip that we deal in, all this. So as we begin to individually clean ourselves up that way and become aware that the mirror is revealing that, hey, you're talking about what they're doing, what are you doing to yourself, And it's not, sometimes it's not willful, it's just that no one told us, hey, all that sugar and all that starch is going to clog up your system. We have to fight. I find that many of us who come into spiritual life enter into this by a change of what we take into our bodies. Because then you begin to think clearer, and to marshal the tools necessary to deal with your problem. So that's why we have to make it matter, make our own lives matter to ourselves, each one of us. And it's very, we try to make a complexity out of something that's very simple. When you look in the mirror, you see all this robe of the sun looking back at you. They call it black skin, but it's more than black. It's got so much more going on. It's a tool. This skin that we have is a tool for processing ancient memories, and it's lost on many of us because we don't know what to do with it. But some people do, and they'll risk skin cancer to get it, while they tell you that it makes you inferior. But who is going to the equator? Who will survive there? In the garden of the sun between the tropics of Kepler and Canum, where they call Cancer and Capricorn. So again, it's on us, and I'm glad to know that I'm in the company talking to sisters and brothers who have this inclination.
Thank you.
Let me just say this: Ekwe Amar made it quite clear when he wrote this, because not all of us are going to come to this light. A lot of us find it difficult to even get up in the morning. Our energy has been sapped, and sometimes we just have to let go. Sometimes trying to force someone to heal when they don't want to, it can eat up your energy. So you have to watch how you give to whom you give your jewels. So Ekwe Amar said about those. He said, make way for them along the easy road to their destruction. Don't pity them. Let them go. To waste time on such people is like trying to graft back fallen leaves. One day the loss of such with blighted souls and minced minds will appear a just gain. In other words, what he's saying is we're trying to save everybody, but only those who want to be will be. You see? And the others, just all you can do, you can't convince them. Just live your life, and maybe that example may inspire them. But don't worry about it, whether it does or not. You clean up your act. You see, to me, when you bake bread, you have a lot of flour, but if you want it to rise, just 1 tablespoon of leaven is enough, to cause it to rise. And so it's let's be leaven for the loaf of humanity. Not everyone is going to wake up at the same time, but those of us who we have to turn the light on, so those others will be attracted to it by how we conduct ourselves.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Hatep.
Hatep. Thanks for calling in.
How is our time, my beloved sister?
We have about 25 minutes left, and we do have another caller. Do you want to take one more caller?
Oh, of course I do. Mm-hmm.
All right, wonderful. So I will bring in our caller at area code 609.
MA'AT Militia, MA'AT Baba Heru.
Oh, Hatep, my brother. Hatep.
Peace and love.
Yeah, I'm Ronnie from the Temple of Anu. Hey, how you doing, Baba?
Oh, Tuwa Wintera, wonderful, my beloved. How's the Insut Bitty out there?
Oh, he's great, phenomenal. Everything's phenomenal.
Yeah, give him my myrrh and all the brothers and sisters there.
I definitely will. Just a quick question. Do you ever think we will get a where all the high priest and priestess one day sit down as much as possible and get a mutual description of the way we enunciate the Metu Netta and the way that we write it?
My brother, I think that's going to come. But I would say this. We are a people. Something about our nature as a people. We like to be unique in so many different ways. I'm sure that there will be at some point a formal grammar of our language that everyone can choose to be, knowledgeable of. But people are going to have dialects, my brother. That's what I've noticed, and it's okay. I may say netara, you may say netcha, but I know what you mean. So I'm not going to impose on what may give you more comfort of vocalizing it in your way. I think many times when we discover something that we've lost, we become very dogmatic, and we seek to impose our way on how it must be done. But I think that if shrine keepers, temple keepers in time choose to come together to do that, to have a formal language structure, I think that can happen. But still, we're going to have people having dialects. Look, there are a whole bunch of people in the Western Hemisphere who speak Spanish, but I bet you that they all got different dialects of Spanish. Right here in America, you got brothers and sisters, just us alone. You have brothers and sisters who, listen to the accent of Asara Sutanseti, our brother, and listen to the accent of Brother Akmos in Harlem. It's we have different dialects and different ways of expressing ourselves. So I think it can happen. And if there's a feeling that there's a strong need, it'll take place, But remember, we had 42 Hesepu, 42 gnomes, and each one of them had their deity enshrined in their own temples, in the temple houses, and their own per ankhs. And what was taught in these temples differed slightly from place to place. You can see that even in the Pertam Heru of the various places of Kemet. There would be subtle differences in how, when you look at the dictionary of words, you will see the different choices to say the same thing. So I think that can happen.
Okay, that's all. It's just a question. It was like somebody asked me one time, "Do we have a Bible, like a Bible-like book?" And I was just like, I don't really. Do you ever think that we will ever get like a concerted effort to even have something like a actual holy manuscript? Not for everybody to follow per se in every temple, but every temple add in something holy to that manuscript.
Well, that can happen too. I really feel that the sky is open, Mother, and the sky's the limit as we come more into this awareness. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you something. We're challenged to bring this, believe it or not, to the churches. The ministers are going to discover that, hey, if you call yourself a child of Ham, if you call yourself one of African descent, then you may want to check out the Nile Valley culture. The churches are going to begin to be places of teaching, not just preaching. And the membership, the young people are coming into this legacy very strong. And many of them are going to find themselves on Sunday morning passing out flyers, inviting the brothers and sisters to learn about Ma'at, about the new covenants of Ma'at. And they are going to find themselves, and in front of mosques too, where brothers and sisters in Islam need to be taught about the existence of a code of ethics that's older than anything that presently exists in these religions. As a matter of fact, it's the source from which many of the good things we find in modern religions come from. You see, but let's go back to the root of it. And you see, the thing is, it's scattered all over, my brother. Yeah. But, I find when it comes to this legacy, a little dab will do you. As you continue to grow and pursue the knowledge. But a little bit, just changing your diet because you know that you can't really, we got some crazy stuff locked up inside of our genes that our parents inherited from the syndrome that we went through, from the migrations, from the losing our legacy. We've been through a lot. And it's going to take some time. But look, man, we're finding the way. There's a way out of this mess. And it begins with each one of us taking on the task of doing the work to undo what has been pushed into us. As I said, to almost commit premeditated murder on our conditioning, to be backbiters, to be slanderers of each other, to be jealous of each other, envious of each other, and all the crazy foods that we consume that constipate our minds and our behinds. As we begin to clean that up, my brother, and as we set the example of what could be done, brothers especially need to come more into changing their diets because we are murdering our women with our penises. What comes through our system, what comes out of us is all the corruption that we are consuming. And when we begin to clean up our act, when we begin to eat more sunshine foods, then our babies nestling in the wombs of our women will have a place to really begin to repair the damage that some of us come out with in our genes because of lack of knowledge, of forgetfulness of our ancient ways of healing with herbs and with proper diet and stuff like that. So, it's happening. But guess what? It seems as if our Caucasian cousins are on the cutting edge of all this raw food stuff and stuff like that. Why is that? I say they're getting well to give us more hell. But I'll tell you something. People like Brother Aris, people like Dr. Savi, Queen Afua, Dr. Africa. These brothers and sisters are giving us a lot of information that we need to transform our condition. Fasting and cleansing and breathing and moving. Doing the Ariyanka, the movements, and taking and looking at the glyphs and using our bodies to write in space in terms of our movement and all of that. It will transform us and transform all that is around us.
Yeah. Thank you. And Mukajara, I'll see you in Ohio. Father Heru, I'll see you around at temples.
Yes,
and
thank you so much for calling. Well, we got a male voice, my sister.
There you go. You called it out.
Give us some praise.
We thank you, brother, for joining in. And to all of our listeners, we give thanks. Our time is starting to wind down.
Give thanks.
So we do encourage everyone to visit the Shrine, the Shrine of Ptah.org.
And the studio of Ptah.com.
And the studio of Ptah.com. And visit, read those new ethical covenants of Ma'at. Not just read them, but get to know them, work with them, talk about them, share them with your children, your sisters, your brothers, and bring the people together. Let's bring our people together and talk about how we are going to restore ourselves, reclaim our greatness, and move through this time of shift that we're in. So we do want to thank you so much for sharing with us tonight. You share so much wisdom. And as someone said, the timing is perfect for those new covenants because we need something right now that we can work towards, and we need guidance on how to correct ourselves and to, bring forth that Ma'at within our lives, within our families, in our community.
Yes, indeed. My sister, I encourage our... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say we could share some last words. So go ahead and say what you were going to say.
I encourage our brothers and sisters to formulate Ma'at discussions around these and formulate ways in which we can spread this around and find ways to implement it and have a council of elders. Talk to your elders and tell them what you've discovered about these ethical codes, and if they will embrace them and help to sit on councils to help to adjudicate them, because we cannot continue to go to sources outside of ourselves and our community to redress grievances that we have with each other, because we find we will be victimized. If not ending up in jail, you end up losing money, having to pay people to defend you. When if we can be self-policing in terms of our ethics and how we deal with each other, then we will reduce the enormous amount of expenditure that goes out of the community's pocket to pay for the law and order system. So I give thanks for the opportunity to share this with our sisters and brothers, and I ask us all to become ambassadors for Ma'at, ambassadors for our culture.
All right, I like that. Head ambassadors for Ma'at. That's powerful. Sister Aura, did you have any last words you want to share? Are you still with us?
I am. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for what you have presented, and I believe that this is a beautiful challenge for our people of today, so that we may raise the standard. And I believe that a rebirth in civilization will occur as a result of even just even the reframing the reference of the 42 laws of Ma'at will bring our focus back to ourselves and the greatness that is within us. So I'm so grateful for you. Thank you.
Oh, give us some praise. Thank you.
Yes,
with that, I'm going to leave you, sister. But with this Hesse, I should have given the libation of sound before I began, but it's never too late. Now I'll take a deep breath and Ptah Sakhimet Neferatum Tepu.
Ooh, that was beautiful. Nefer. Well, we give thanks for this divine time and for this time that we are in, this time of elevation, growing, healing, and reclaiming Ma'at for ourselves. So let's do it, family. We have been studying for long enough. We have debated for many years, and we really need to get to work, put things into action, put our knowledge into action. So let's get together and share this information that was shared with us. Share and listen to the archives because it was a lot of information given. And we give thanks to you again, Brother Heru, for all that you have done in sharing and bringing forth the light of the Kemetic legacy to our people and being consistent for so many years. Dua, we salute you. We salute you. Also, I do want to let everyone know that we have a couple, I think 2 or 3 more spaces available for our upcoming Crystal Dig and Healing Retreat. So the house is almost full. If you are interested in coming with us to Arkansas, you definitely want to go ahead and register as soon as possible. Once it's full, it's going to be full. And, we don't want to have everyone on the floor. So go ahead and visit us online at rasekihealing.com for information about that retreat, as well as our other retreats. We have our 7th annual solstice retreat coming up in June in North Carolina, and the early bird registration for that retreat actually ends on February 1st. So we will be doing Kemetic Reiki level 1, 2, and 3 at that retreat, and that one is always very powerful. And also we'll be going to Jamaica again in December. So we look forward to working with you and sharing that healing energy. Also, we encourage you to visit us at rasekistore.com and check out some of our books. Light as a Feather, The 42 Laws of Ma'at for Children is our latest book. And we actually have a sale going on. We have the book and we have some new posters. There are 11 by 17 posters that you can get to hang up in your children's room. I always like to encourage my children to read them when they get out of line, especially. So I was inspired by my own children to create the book and the posters for all of our children, actually, to learn these important laws, to learn about integrity, to have morals, to build a better future for them and for us as well, and for those who are yet to come. We do have some new things coming up. So we want you to look out for our book, Sekhmet Rising, and that is going to be released in March, I believe is our release time for that. And this is a book dedicated to the great mother healer, Sekhmet. We also have another meditation CD that will be coming out, I suppose, next month. Hopefully it'll be soon. So look for that as well. We'll have some meditations by our sisters who facilitate the morning call. So we have Sister Aura featured on the meditation, as well as myself and some other members of our temple. And, meditation is something that's very important for us. A lot of us have a lot of stress and don't know ways to deal with our stress. some people know about meditation and don't really know how to meditate. So prayerfully, this will be an assistance to you all in that as well. And let's see, did I leave anything out, sis?
No, I think you just about got it all. Go to the website, RaSekhiHealing.com. Also check out if you want to get the books, such as Light as a Feather, at RaSekhiStore.com. And we will have the morning ritual call, 7 a.m., and that number, that is also listed on our website as well.
If you want to join us, yes, on the morning calls, you can call in at 605-475-4000. The access code is 747-888-pound. And we have the calls on Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. You are welcome to join us. We do a light exercise yoga session. We also will do libation, opening the way. We'll do a guided meditation. And it's a really beautiful, powerful way to start your morning. So if you can join us. It's not an if, but we invite you to join us on that morning calls, Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. Do I? So we give thanks once again for everyone who called in, everyone who is listening in. It's been a beautiful energy. It's definitely time for us to reclaim ourselves, to restore ourselves. And, you know, when we are living a good character, then that makes our aura stronger. So it's actually a form of protection as well. And that is something that we all need right now in this spiritual war that we are in. So we give thanks to have this guidance, have this wisdom to assist us in this process. And I know we're going to continue the conversation because we do need to talk about sharing with the young people, as someone brought up, and how we can, because, you know, that's who we really want to reach, the teenagers, those who are really expressing the self-hatred in a way that we have never seen. We've never seen things going on the way that they're going on right now. And we do need to address it and deal with that. So definitely tune in to our next show on Thursday. We might not talk about the young people at that time, but we will have another topic that is relevant to healing our community. That is what we are all about at the Ra Sekhi Arts Temple. So join us next Thursday. And Baba Heru, I just want to ask you, can you give us that Hesi, the segment Hesi, as we close out this evening? Oh, I think we might have lost them. All right. Well, that Hesi was, we're going to have to see if we can get him to do that again or just replay this show again. It was so beautiful and powerful. Well, I can feel it. I just closed my eyes. Can you just hear it one more time? All right, so we will work on that. We will send everyone out with that energy of life. Ankh Ujasanev. Until the next time, Hetepu.
Ankh Ujasanev.
Ankh Ujasanev. Ankh Ujasanev. Ankh Ujasanev. Ankh Ujasanev. Ankh Ujasanev. Ankh Jasanib, Uncle 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 Jasanib, Uncle.
So you're ready to ask the biggest question of your life, the only question before that question. How do you find the perfect ring to ask it with? With the incredible selection of diamonds at Jared and our price match guarantee, you can dare to stop searching and find the perfect diamond at a price you'll love. Visit your local Jared store today and dare to be devoted.
We promise to match any price on a like loose certified diamond of the same quality from any other jewelry retailer. See jared.com/price match for details.
Skydiving. This is amazing.
Yeah, but you know what else is amazing? An iPhone 6S for just $49 at Metro.
Really?
Imagine streaming all the way down with that amazing camera. I'm switching.
That's smart.
You know what else is smart? Parachutes.
Woo!
Switch to Metro and get an amazing iPhone 6S for only $49. Metro by T-Mobile. Phone offer requires port-in of number not currently active on T-Mobile network or active on Metro in past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.